Yes, people. Wagwan, what you saying? It is I, Diligent Fingers. Welcome back to another video. And that. So I wanted to do another video elaborating on the whole there's no money in music or there is money in music type shit that I was talking about in the other video. Sorry, YouTube. And that, like, the channel's not monetized anyway, so you know, forgive a couple of swear words every now and again in other things. I'll let you go. Alright, nice one, mate. Yeah, I wanted to elaborate a bit more on that whole thing of whether there is actual money in music or not. I'll be the first to say that there is. There's definitely money in music. It's just how you actually deal with it, how you manage your money, how you budget for things, what it is that you're looking to actually get out of it, and just be realistic about what you're spending, how you're spending it, how you're budgeting things out, how you're planning things out. Do you know what I mean? And going from there, really and truly. Back on my morning walks again, getting my steps in and all that kind of good stuff and shit. But yeah, man, in reality, all it's ever about is just being realistic and that, in terms of the position that you're in, where you want to get to, and looking at things again from a realistic standpoint. Do you know what I mean? When people say there's no money in music, I believe a lot of the time they're talking about the millions, innit? You'll look at the big pop artists, rap artists, singers, Taylor Swifts, Beyonce's, and this, that, and the third. Do you know what I mean? And that, and then compare it to an independent artist, and that, and then say, oh, there's no money in music, which is just unfair, really. It's an unfair comparison, and it's unrealistic, and that, like, because it doesn't take into account that an independent artist is doing it all themselves, and that, whilst a major label artist has a major label behind them and stuff, and the money that they're making, they're having to pay off big loans and advances first before they actually see anything, whereas an independent artist has the opportunity to be able to see a return on their money that they've spent almost straight away, really and truly, you know. And that's so it's all about being realistic and looking at things in a proper objective way, and that, you know. Reason why I say this, and you can look at me and you can think to yourself, oh, Diligent Fingers hasn't got big numbers, I've not got big Spotify numbers, I've not got big Instagram followers, even YouTube channel subscribers, and this, that, and the third. But I can definitely tell you, I've made money from music. I have made money from music, you know. I have made more money releasing my own music than I ever have with any big label that I have ever signed to. And when I say big label, I'm talking in terms of big drum and bass labels that I've been signed to. Do you know what I mean? Or medium-sized drum and bass labels that I've been signed to in the past and stuff. I've not made any money from any of them, but I've made money from releasing my own music. So what does that tell you? That tells you that whenever you release to someone or something outside of yourself, and one, you don't know the ins and outs, you don't know what the costs are going to be and shit like that. Do you know what I mean? You don't know how big the actual team is that's running the label. And that's where a lot of the misconception of how much money you're going to make comes into it. And that the first moment that I realised this was when I was signed to a pretty well-known, well-respected drum and bass label. I'm not going to say any names, I don't want to cause any trouble, but I am allowed to speak about my experience at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to speak about my experiences. But it was a very well respected label, had been going for over a decade. Do you know what I'm saying? Had many, many big drum and bass names on that label. Do you know what I mean? Well respected. Well respected. Do you know what I'm saying? I released an EP with them called, no, I'm not going to say the name. I released an EP with them, and where I started to see red flags in terms of, one, how they were dealing with business, and two, the lack of knowledge that I had about the business itself, was when a year later, because of some other complications and this, that and the third that was going on with other music that was going to get released on the label, some inquiries got made about, you know, breakdowns and things like that. And when I got the breakdown back, I found out that for this label that for this EP that I'd put out, 4-track EP that I put out a year previous to this situation, I was still in the red. I didn't even think I was in the red for anything, but I was in the red and stuff. And it was then that I got the breakdown of what it costs for this label to release a project, and not in terms of cost for the artwork, cost for the promo mailing list that the label has, things like Promo.ly, In-Flight, Pro Label Engine, things like that. These services where you can upload your project, your EP, before release, and it gets sent out to a database of DJs, music influencers and stuff like that, basically. I've got one for anybody who is in music. Emails. Build up a database of emails that you can send music to, you can send information to, newsletters and things like that. Do you know what I mean? But there are services out there that will set up these things for you, collect all, well, not collect, but have all of your emails and do that whole emailing, promo, mail out process for you. All you need to do is upload the music, upload the artwork, upload the press release and stuff with all the information that's needed, and then they send it out to however many emails you have within your database. Kind of like MailChimp. Do you know what I'm saying? Kind of like that, but more for music and stuff. But that costs money. Whether you do any sort of online advertisement, social media advertising, so Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, even Twitter ads, because I know that Twitter, aka X, has got ads and stuff like that as well. You know, all of these things, there is a cost, or there can be a cost into releasing music and stuff, you know. And that was when I found out what all of these costs were. Music mastering, if the label actually deals with the mastering for you, do you know what I mean, instead of yourself, that can cost money, you know. And for me, what really did it for me was, one, realising the costs, but two, watching how the label actually deals with releasing and promoting music. And that this release had plays on Kiss, Radio 1, 1Extra, BBC Introducing. Do you know what I mean? Like, this EP had tracks on there that were getting played all over the place. It had high Spotify plays, and that, I wouldn't say like into the tens and 20s of thousands, but it had high Spotify plays. And that, the only thing I didn't know whether it had or not was the sales side of things. We had no idea in terms of the sales and stuff until we got the breakdown, and it turns out that it didn't have many sales, even though, you know, through me and the people that were featured on the EP, we were pushing it hard. We were pushing it to the point where it was reaching significant places and stuff. And what got to me was the effort of promotion that was being done by the label itself. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the label was releasing music at such a high frequency, like say 2 releases a month, sometimes 3 releases a month, and that, in my belief, there wasn't enough time for there to be that much promo for each release. So it'd be a case of, you know, a bit of promo, say a week's promo, maybe 2 before the release comes out, maybe a bit of promo, a week's promo after the release has come out, and then you've got to focus on the next one. And I will hold my hands up and say that even I struggle with it, but I am a team of 1. I am on my own. I don't have a team of people, do you know what I'm saying, that can help me out in that area. But I try and give each release at least a month. And for every artist that I sign to my label, I tell them the most important part is not the lead up. The lead up can be great. It really can. But the most important part where it comes to promo is when it is out. Because it is out. Because the opportunity is there for people to buy it, for people to listen to it. It's all good, you know. It's all good spending, spending a month, do you know what I mean, saying, yo, this is coming. Do you know what I mean? And you can get people excited and all that, but more time, if people really like the music, they want to get it straight away. As soon as they hear about it, they want to get it. I'm not going to say that people have short attention spans. I don't really believe in that, you know. Do you know what I mean? We dictate how much attention people should be spending on, you know, what we want them to spend it on, by how much we actually put it out there for the people. And that, you know. But me, the way I look at it is, you can't expect everybody in the world to know about what you have released within a short space of time. You can't expect everybody in the world to know about what you've done within 2 to 3 weeks. Especially if the release comes out, you shout about it for a week, and then that's it, it's done. And it's a common thing. I've seen it with so many artists, so many producers, that like once the release is out, it's like it's done. They're done with it. They've forgotten about it. I can understand why all the time that's been put into making the track, going back and forth on mix downs, if you're working with a vocalist, going back and forth with the vocalist, you know, making sure it's right, going back and forth with the artwork, masters, all this kind of stuff. A lot of work goes into making music and getting it ready to put out there to the world. But that's why you should be putting 100, 200, 310% into promoting it when it comes out. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what always baffles me. You've done all of this work, and then when it comes out, you just gotta be like, yep, it's out, safe, and that's it. It's like, it baffles me when people are like that. It's go time. Do you know what I mean? Like, even now, I'll still shout about the fact that I have an album out. My debut drum and bass album is out right now. War in Peace. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm still talking about it now, even though the release came out in November last year. The 30th of November and stuff. So that's nearly 6 months where I've still been talking about this album that I've made and shit, because it's an album. It's 12 tracks that I've poured my heart and soul into, that I spent the best part of like 5 to 7 years making. Do you know what I'm saying? Like this new album that I've got coming out this year, The War Within, and that's been in the making for about 10 years. It was supposed to come out last year, but it wasn't ready. Do you know? It wasn't ready and shit. And even I'll use my album as an example. Do you know what I'm saying? In regards to, you know, how you can make money from music releases. So, in terms of what I've spent to make the album itself, I didn't spend any money on mastering because I mastered it myself. I didn't spend any money on artwork because I did the artwork myself. You could say that the £28 a month that I spend on Adobe Creative Cloud to be able to have, do you know what I'm saying, Photoshop and things like that, you know, you could say, let's be generous and say 28 quid I spent on the artwork just for Adobe Creative Cloud for 1 month, yeah? Because it did not take me longer than a month to be able to make the artwork, come up with the concept, put the artwork together, and this, that, and the third. So 28 quid, yeah, for the artwork. Just being nice. Really, I would put that down as more a business expense rather than an actual project expense, you know? But let's say 28 quid for album artwork, just being generous. Do you know what I mean? And that, for the promo mail outs, 20 quid. 20 quid per release that I do. Do you know what I mean? Promo mail outs. I didn't do any Facebook ads or Instagram ads or anything like that. The only sort of money that I did spend, and this is after the release, is buying 25 copies of the album on vinyl and shit to be able to do signed copies for people and that. But we won't count that. I won't even say the money for that. So, but as it stands at the moment, 48 quid, £20 for the promo mail outs and that, 28 quid for Adobe Creative Cloud, yeah? And that, so 48 quid for that album and shit, yeah? I've dealt with all the splits and all that kind of stuff for each artist that was featured on the album and stuff and that, but in total, in terms of actual money spent before release, £48, yeah? Just on Bandcamp alone, I have covered that expense and I've made a bit of profit in the forms of, I made £75 on Bandcamp. So, just from there alone, I made £25 profit. 25 quid and shit. This is not counting any Juno sales, Beatport sales, any sales anywhere else and that, because I've not actually checked any of that yet. And if there is any of that, that's in a pot waiting for me. Do you know what I mean? This isn't counting any streams or anything like that, but if we're just going based off flipping Spotify and that, I don't even think I've hit the threshold and that of like 1,000 streams on all of the tracks for them to even start counting me as a potential money earner on Spotify. So screw Spotify. But I know money has been made from Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, and that, all these are the places that don't have these stupid thresholds put in place and shit, really. So once again, fuck Spotify and shit. But just off Bandcamp alone, and I advise everybody to use Bandcamp. Set up a Bandcamp, sell your music on Bandcamp. Reason why I say this is give people the opportunity to financially support you. Give them the option. Yes, streaming is convenient for everybody, but there are people out there, millions upon millions of people out there that appreciate music and are willing to support people that make music financially. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not just tickets for shows and merchandise. They are willing to buy your music. There's a lot of people that don't agree with Spotify and don't use Spotify. Do you know what I'm saying? But they use places like Bandcamp, they use places like Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube. Do you know what I'm saying? Places that pay more for streams, and places they use Juno, they use Beatport. I buy a lot of my music from Juno, Beatport and Bandcamp. Especially being a DJ, I want to be able to play the music. If it's just the music's just on streaming platforms, I can't put that on a USB. Do you know what I mean? And like take it out to gigs and play the music for people and shit. Like, I need to buy it. I need to buy it from somewhere. And if you don't give people the opportunity to be able to buy it, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And it's nothing to say that, oh, once people have bought it, they're not going to stream it. Yeah, they will. Yes, they will. It's the convenience of, if anything happens with these places, they know they've still got it on their computer, their hard drive, and shit like that, you know? Let me sit down for a bit, because my back is absolutely killing me and shit, man. But yeah, give people the opportunity, you know, to be able to support you financially and shit. But yeah, just an example, and it doesn't sound like a lot. It does not sound like a lot at all. Is that really? No, okay. It does not sound like a lot, but, you know, scale that up. If it wasn't just, promoting on Bandcamp, do you know what I'm saying? If I did spend a bit of money on Facebook ads, you know, Instagram ads and stuff like that, it could have been more and shit. Yeah, I'd be offsetting some of that profit with the costs of the ads. Do you know what I'm saying? But again, it could have been more. You know, the reason why I didn't spend any money on Facebook ads or anything like that is because I didn't have the money at the time. There was other things that I needed to spend money on and shit, and I wanted to really gauge just the raw, do you know what I mean? The raw attention that the album could get. You know, I wanted to utilize things like Twitch. I stream regularly on Twitch every Tuesday and Sunday, 5 till 9 and stuff. There's a lot of people that sort of bought my music on there. Do you know what I'm saying? I wanted to see, you know, if I could actually use the power of my Instagram, the power of my social medias without having to pay for what I would say algorithm hacks, which is the marketing, the advertising and stuff like that. You know, how much attention am I actually getting outside of the numbers that I've got, the number of followers that I've actually got? And I know that it's a funnel system when it comes to, you know, Instagram followers and Facebook followers. You know, it's only really 10 maybe 20% of the people that are actually following you that actually pay attention and regularly engage with what you're doing on there. Maybe 20% is being generous, but that's something that I learned from Patreon and it makes sense in that. You know, I see people with 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers, you know, but the amount of engagement that they actually get is never that, you know. Prime example, Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat has millions of followers. Kai Cenat on Twitch has millions of followers, but millions of people are not watching him every time he streams. I think the highest I've seen him have is like 100k, 100,000 people watching his stream at the same time and stuff. Yeah, he has, I'm sure he's upwards 15 million followers or something like that. 15, maybe 20 million followers on Twitch. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely true. It's definitely true. And I don't even think that is actually like 10% in stuff, having 100,000 people watching you. So I understand in terms of, you know, the whole funnel system when it comes to, you know, your follow account and this, that and the third. Your follow account is only impressive to people that really don't understand how it works and shit. Do you know what I mean? Or they do, and they're looking at what that 10% is, what that 10 or 20% is in shit. Like, there's a lot of people that will see that, like, do you know what I mean? Someone's got 10,000 followers on Instagram and actually believe that they've got 10,000 people like paying attention to them. No, you've got the opportunity for a large amount of those 10,000 people to be able to see what you do. And then on top of that, you've got to hit them enough times for them to be like, you know what, let me check this out. Because a lot of those people aren't going to check out what you're doing straight away. And this is why, going back to the whole promo thing, this is why you have to keep pushing it out. You have to keep promoting your shit past the first month, the second month, the third month, 6 months down the line, even a year down the line. Even if you release something else, do you know what I mean, during that time, still let people know about the other shit that you've done. Don't just expect people to just find it eventually. You know, you've got to keep up that enthusiasm about what you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but yeah, you've got the funnel system in regards to that. And that's what I wanted to gauge. I wanted to gauge how many people were actually paying attention to what I was doing. I wanted to really gauge, you know, what is actually going on with my fan base and stuff. There's still things that I need to really fix up about and get over, like the fact that I hate Facebook. I cannot stand Facebook at all. I hate it. I feel like it's more of a toxic platform than it is a beneficial platform for musicians, for anyone really and truly. Do you know what I mean? But I kind of have to get over that and utilize the fact that, you know, in terms of numbers, I think on my Instagram I'm close to 2,900 followers on Instagram, and it still hurts me to this day that I'm at that point where a couple of years ago I had an account that got hacked, but on that previous account I had 6,000 followers. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm at 2,000, close to 2,900 followers on my Instagram account. I'm close to 6,000 followers on my Facebook fan page, and that 1,000 subscribers, 1,100 subscribers on my YouTube, this main YouTube, Spynal Media YouTube channel. Excuse me. 5,000 followers on my SoundCloud, and I think I'm at around 4,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and that. Apple, you really need to sort out and catch up with Spotify in terms of, you know, analytics and showing, like, you know, who's listening and how many people are listening and stuff like that. And really, I should make the effort to check out all of these other platforms like Deezer, YouTube, how many YouTube followers and listeners that I have and stuff. But obviously Spotify, Apple Music, do you know what I mean? They're the like main ones and stuff like that. In Apple, you're so lagging behind in terms of keeping people up to date with who's listening and how many people are listening to their music. But yeah, that's a roundup of all the numbers that I've got in that. I think on Twitch I'm at 2,000, and yeah, I'm around 2,900 followers on Twitch as well and stuff, and I get an average of between 75 to 100 or 100 to 150, 120 subs per month on Twitch and that as well. So like there's a few big numbers there. There's a few like decent numbers there that I could be utilizing. I really need to fix up and find an efficient way of being able to utilize all of these numbers and get the best out of them, really and truly. I'm gonna make my way back now because I'm realizing that this video is nearly half an hour long. But yeah, man, like I said, with my album, and this isn't talking about other releases, there's other releases that I have had that I have made money from. Do you know what I mean? I get a good constant amount of monthly money from SoundCloud, from the stuff that I put up on SoundCloud, because you can monetize your music on SoundCloud. You can even distribute your music through SoundCloud. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of music that I've got on SoundCloud that I make money from, and I get a payment every month from that. Do you know what I mean? And then on top of that, there is my merch. There is my members club, which is like Patreon, where I exclusively release music through there for a subscription fee. I do videos on there. Do you know what I mean? I do sound packs, remix stems, and shit like that that people can use each month and stuff. It's not necessarily, well, the members club, it is music because it's the music that people are subscribing to get each month. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's money in music, but in different ways. It doesn't have to be the traditional way of releasing music. Do you know what I'm saying? And that, but there's the traditional way where you put it out there to the world, and then there's the non-traditional way of, you know, selling exclusive music through things like Patreon, things like Fourth Wall, hold tight Fourth Wall. Do you know what I'm saying? And that, man. And then you have to diversify your income as well. You can't keep all of your eggs in one basket. So having merch, like my forward ever, backward never stuff, do you know what I mean? My hats, forward motion hats and stuff like that. You know, selling services and that. I do paid studio sessions for people to record vocals, do you know what I mean, for either tracks or projects that they're working on. Do you know what I'm saying? And I pride myself on it being a comfortable environment. Do you know what I mean? I charge by the hour, and I also charge for a mix and master and stuff as well. You know, I do customizable DJ jingles. So if you want to shout out any kind of dialogue, yo, this is Diligent Fingers, you're locked on, locked in, bigging up all the ravers inside the place, all that kind of stuff, I can do things like that for you at a price. Do you know what I'm saying? Hopefully I'm going to be getting into voiceover work as well and shit. Also doing advert jingles, audio flyers, where, you know, I will provide backing music, and I will vocally, you know, talk up your event that's coming up. Do you know what I'm saying? That can be great for radio if you want to do advertising for your event on radio or streams and things like that. You know, there's other things that you can do outside of the initial music that you make, but it's all based on the talent that you have within music. Do you know what I'm saying? I would say learn how to do basic photo editing. Do it. just learn how to do it. Yeah, it takes up a bit more time, but once you know what you're doing, you can whip up things very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? And that, like, yeah, there's AI that's out there, but, you know, AI is very easy to tell when it's AI, and it doesn't always look that great. Do you know what I mean? But everything doesn't need to be, everything doesn't need to be that overly complicated to the point of needing AI. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the time, the simplest designs are the best designs. You know, same with music. A lot of the time, the simplest of tracks are the best tracks, and they seem to go further. You know, learn some basic video editing skills. Learn some basic filming skills. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, even doing things like this, you know, making videos for YouTube and shit, getting your head around DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, Adobe Premiere, even though Final Cut and Adobe Premiere are pretty expensive in terms of buying the programs and stuff, whereas DaVinci Resolve is free, which is what I'm using. But I am planning on getting Final Cut because I'm more used to using Final Cut than with DaVinci Resolve. But there's free editing software out there that you can use. You know, there's so many things that are free. If you don't want to use Photoshop, Canva. There's things like Canva. There's so many free like photo editing softwares and stuff like that. But the reason why I say, you know, to learn these things, and you don't have to be amazing at these things, but learn them, at least get some basic knowledge of these things, is just so then You know, if you have an idea and you know you can execute it yourself, you can then do that. Do you know what I'm saying? If you want to save money in certain areas, you know, to bring down costs so you can get a better return on investment and shit, you can do that by learning these programs for yourself, you know. Now, with the importance of social media when it comes to promoting music, you don't need to have big, massive production music videos to be able to promote your music. You know, you can just do content batches and stuff, which is what I've started doing. I'll have a track, I'll go out in the park, get 2 or 3 angles, do you know what I mean? Do it vertically, film it vertically, and then I just post clips. It'll be a 2 to 3 minute track, so it'll be a 2 to 3 minute video and stuff. Come home, put it together, and put it in CapCut, get the lyrics showing up on the screen and shit, on the video and stuff, and then I'll just post clips on social media, do you know what I mean, of the video and stuff, rather than posting up the whole video and this, that and the third. You can do that with so many things. At the moment I'm doing things like that with tracks that I put out 2-3 years ago. 2-3 years ago. And people are loving it. Do you know what I'm saying? People are loving it. All I'm doing is taking clips of parts of verses, not even starting at the beginning. I'll take a part of a verse from towards the end of the track, put that out 20-25 seconds, and people really like it. Do you know what I'm saying? There's so many things you can do. Reuse your content. Reuse the music that you've got. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be the newest of the new. This could be ways of you reintroducing tracks that you've done in the past to people that are listening to your music now. Do you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that you can do now that don't take that much effort these days. Let me cross the road quickly. So many things, you know? It's just making the time for yourself. And now, if you need to do things in batches, do it in batches. Make it easier on yourself. But the main thing you have to do is make the effort, because nobody else is going to be able to do it for you. And you have to recognize that if that is what you want, if that's what you're looking for, somebody else to do it for you, then that's where money starts getting taken out of your pocket, because these other people need to be paid. If you gotta get another video editor and shit, they need to be paid. If you're gonna pay somebody, if you need someone to deal with all of your social media content for you, they need to be paid. Nobody is doing this shit for free for somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? And shit. So, yeah, man, when people say there's no money in music, it's not true. It's not true. It all comes down to how you budget, what you're spending the money on, and that what it is that you're trying to gain, how efficient you are being with the money that you're spending, with the promo, with the marketing and stuff. Social media effectively is free marketing. It really is. All you have to do is just keep putting the stuff out there. And that, like, yeah, everyone wants to go viral and this, that and the third. But I think that's the wrong thing to be focusing on. What you need to focus on is awareness. Getting people aware. If you make something that goes viral, amazing. But that shouldn't be the first and only goal. Do you know what I mean? The main goal should be awareness. So yeah, man. I hope this gave people some ideas, some inspiration on what they can do. Once again, another an example of that is, you know, Hold Tight Dolce, smashing it at the moment since she won a Grammy for Alligator Bites, Never Heal. Do you know what I'm saying? She's been doing amazing. But out of all of this, A YouTube video that she put out in 2019 has been going absolutely viral 5 years later, 6 years later. Anxiety. The first anybody heard of that track was in 2019 when she was just in her bedroom on YouTube, just singing the song over Guilty, someone that I used to know, the instrumental for that. 6 years later, the tune has been released, and I'm sure at this point it must be 6 million views on YouTube, broken records on YouTube, this, that and the third and stuff. And all it was just an idea that she had, that she recorded in her bedroom and put it up on YouTube. Like I said in the first video, just put the music out there, yeah? And in this video, think about the money side of things. Think about how you can save money. Think about how you're spending the money in regards to putting your music out and that. And think of ways, efficient ways of how you can get a return on your investment. Because there definitely is money in music. Definitely. Most definitely. So yeah, man. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week. Take care of yourselves, take care of your health, take care of your mental health, because you don't know. Good mental health is wealth. Forward ever, backward never. And as always, blessings to you all.